He's the seventh best player in basketball.
Stop.
Yeah, he's not in the top five.
Stop.
Now, he should be in the MVP conversation because it's idiotically a regular season award. The reason I say idiotically, it really makes no sense, is because there is no such thing as an MVP candidate who comes from a non-playoff team. Because 16 out of 30 teams make it, so over 50% of the teams make it. If you're an MVP, if you're going to win the MVP, you're going to be on a playoff team, almost without fail. So why don't we just at least see how they do in the playoffs before we start ranking them? How does Harden do in the playoffs? First of all, even in the regular season, it's not that he's a top 7 player in this league is one of the greatest athletes who's ever lived. Like, I'm not down on Harden, but he is playing in a system. He is an extremely high-usage player who's playing in a system that will make him look a little better than he is. Just as Steve Nash once upon a time looked a little better than he was. Just as Jeremy Lin once upon a time looked a little better than he was. Now, he's better than Lin. He's even better than Steve Nash, probably, which is a great Hall of Fame player. Harden's going to be in the Hall of Fame one day. His defense has gotten much better, but let's look at the best players in basketball. Is he LeBron James? Stop. Don't answer that question. It's rhetorical. He's not close to LeBron James. Let's talk about the others, AD, KD, and Kawhi, and the Greek Freak. These are 6'7" and better, long, great two-way players. Like, they play great defense. Harden's defense is not in their league. So even if you want to argue his offense is around as good as theirs, or even if you want to argue it's better, which I would say you're wrong, but okay. If your offense is around the same, you want to give one guy an edge, but the defense isn't close, then who's the better player? And finally, and by the way, Steph Curry, between Steph and Harden, you're taking Steph. Stop it. Now, finally, you have to include the playoffs. It's a 2-month playoff. The MVPs all come from playoff teams. I am rooting for James Harden. I saw signs that he's getting better under pressure in these last playoffs. But the bottom line is he is still worse than he normally is in the playoffs. His performance is here normally. It goes way down in the postseason. I'm sorry that counts against you. It simply does. We can't pretend it does. Those are the highest leverage games, and there are lots of them. Game 7 at home against Game 7. You'll know when I'm done.
Are you done?
Game 7. At home against defending champs. Your second best player not on the floor. You went 2 from 13 from outside, and that's why you lost. So defensively, it doesn't add up, and playoffs, it doesn't add up. 7 is great. He's not higher than that.
We know LeBron. We know Steph. That's not in question. But the rest of the guys you put on the list from a playmaking standpoint, from a value standpoint, listen, when James Harden's not on the floor, that team, when he hurt his hamstring, goes down to 12. Now they're 7th in the West, as thick as the West is. You got to understand how hard it is to have the basketball in your hands and create. Not only does he lead the league in scoring by average of 3+ points. Who's the second closest guy? Averaging 29. He's averaging 32 points per game. Guess what? He is the system. Mike D'Antoni changed and adjusted his system from the pick and roll, backdoor, pitch ahead, pistol offense to a matchup-based individual ISO offense for James Harden, in which he's efficient at. And if you don't switch the matchup, which he's so good, if you don't switch, he's throwing lobs all day or getting layups. That's a fact. So he's a playmaker. None of those guys, after LeBron and Steph Curry, can actually create offense for others. And as far as the playoffs, I was down on James Harden. But after the playoffs, he showed me something. Because, for one, he lost to one of the greatest teams that ever played a game of basketball in Golden State. Hurt, injured, or whatever, however you want to manage it, and he became a winner. Why do I say James Harden became a winner? Because he stepped up, because he defended. If you actually watched the game, if you actually watched the series, which I don't think you did, they pressured James Harden to take away the 3-ball, and they forced him. That's how good he was. They forced him to drive the basketball. And when he drove the lane, he finished with dunks.
He hit 13 threes. He hit 2.
Hey, guess what? That's what playmakers do.
That's what they miss shots.
That's what playmakers do.
I have an argument for both people, okay? Ryan, to your point, okay, Max, he leads the league in total points. He leads the league in threes made. And he leads the league in free throws made, okay? So from that standpoint, offensively for the Rockets, he is their bread and butter, okay? CP's out, and they've went on a hell of a run, and they're back in the Western Conference race, okay? So I say that to your point. Now, Max, to your point. He had one game to win. Out of 2. Chris Paul went out game 5, at home. They go to Golden State for game 6. They come home for a game 7. And if you're the MVP of the league, you have to get your team to the NBA Finals. Okay? So with that being said,
2 on 5, 2 on 4.
What,
2 on 4?
with that being said, I have James Harden, 6th best player in the league.
Outside of the top 5. So I have him 7, you have him 6.
So
What do you have him?
You mean he's number 3 at least? You mean to tell me AD's going to lead a team past Golden State? You mean Giannis, who can't close games because he don't have a jump shot?
No.
Lead team past? Who's the other guy?
But this is what I'm saying to you is they had the best record in the NBA last year.
Okay.
They had home court advantage.
Yeah.
Okay, and you get home court advantage to do what? To get the game 7 on your home floor.
Yeah.
Okay, and they had 2 games. They were up 3-2
D. Jones.
going to Golden State for game 6.
D.
Okay,
Jones.
and they were winning at halftime against Golden State.
You know who else
and
lost? You know who else lost to Golden State? LeBron. You want to know why? Because there's not 2 and 3 LeBrons. There aren't 2 and 3 James Hardens. You know, you
just need one.
In the regular season.
Ryan, hold on. I understand all your points. You're making a bunch of mistakes here, though. You are right that James Harden is very good at doing very difficult things, even in certain respects, the most difficult things, but that doesn't make you the best player. Like, you still have to get the results. And if you're running a D'Antoni system, even if he changes his system for you, he's a very creative offensive mind. We have to acknowledge that. Even the defense was better when they had Bizdelic there, and Harden's defense has improved, and I agree, he got better under pressure last year. But when the emotional leader of the team, Chris Paul, went down, Harden missed every shot, basically, and so did the rest of his teammates miss every shot. A leader has to, why did they fall apart without Chris Paul? It's not just the talent missing.